It's time now for a look at the latest in local news. In the news, the top story occurred Wednesday as two juveniles faced criminal charges in connection with the death of 8-year-old Noah Bush. Charges filed Wednesday by the Wayne County Sheriff's Department. Ages of the juveniles, ages 10 and 11. Both were in court Wednesday afternoon for a detention hearing that lasted over 3 hours in Courtroom C here in Wayne County. The 10-year-old facing charges of concealing the death of another and criminal trespassing. The 11-year-old facing charges of simple battery, involuntary manslaughter, concealing the death of another, and criminal trespassing. Both juveniles being held at a juvenile detention center in Claxton, Georgia, until their next court appearance. Noah Bush's family, represented by attorneys from the Davis Bozeman law firm in Savannah, Georgia, and after the marathon court hearing Wednesday afternoon, WIFO FM able to talk exclusively with the attorneys about the case and the charges. Here's that interview conducted Wednesday afternoon outside the courtroom.
Here are the attorneys of the Bush family. A long 3-hour detention hearing. I understand the boys have been held over and they're headed to Claxton Detention Center. Is that your understanding?
That's right. The judge found probable cause and reason to detain these two juveniles for involuntary manslaughter, for one juvenile concealing the death of another, and simple assault, as well as for the other juvenile for concealing the death of the another and for criminal trespass. And so these are very serious allegations, and it took 55 days, a tremendous outpouring of community support, and the mother never giving up on her belief that what they told her initially was not true, that this was not an accident, that this was the work of others who not only participated in knocking Noah into that water and holding his head under water, which we heard today, but then concealing it. And I'm not sure we're done with the arrest in this case. And we won't stop until there's full accountability for every person involved.
When you say that, are you talking about the parents of the two children involved?
That's correct. And I want you to understand this. What happened was they knew what their children had done, and then they walked around with this family pretending to look here, there, and everywhere for a missing child, all the while knowing that his body was submerged underwater. That is the kind of evil that this community should repudiate. And I think that this judge took the first step of expressing his outrage for these actions.
The day began with the meeting with the sheriff and the DA. Did you get a chance to ask both of them why they haven't charged the parents at that meeting?
We did. We spoke directly to the sheriff. We believe that the district attorney has been transparent, opened up his file, allowed this family, provided this family the opportunity to look in the file, to look at videos, to look at the evidence. That doesn't happen all the time, and so we applaud this district attorney. We have had from the very beginning serious concerns about the investigation. That continues to be an issue, and we thought and believe that there should have been an arrest of the parents today. That didn't happen, but we are still pressing for that. We still believe that those arrests are imminent, and we're not going to stop until that happens, because for this family, that represents full justice. That is what this family's been fighting for. That's what this community has been standing with this family for. And so it's critically important that any adult that knew of Noah's death be held accountable, just like these juveniles today are being held accountable.
Are you satisfied with the charges against the juveniles?
The charges are based on the evidence that have been provided to the district attorney. Obviously, we believed from the very beginning that Noah was murdered. The description of an involuntary manslaughter is not a murder, but it is a responsibility for the loss of a life. And so it's serious charges, very serious charges.
What's the next step?
The next step will be an adjudication hearing. Could take place within the next 10 days for these juveniles. We, again, believe that even before then, there has to be an arrest made by this sheriff of these adults in order for this community to know that this has been taken seriously the way it should be.
Talking about juveniles, young children, so what do you think is the correct punishment? I mean, what are these kids looking at possibly? I
Well,
mean, are they going
let's
to be
get the-
rehabilitated, or are they just going to? I mean, what could be the punishment?
Well, I think before we start talking about punishment, we need to get the full story, which is what this mother, which is what any mother would want. What happened to my baby? And the lies and the deception, the obfuscation by the parents mean that we haven't had that full story. Let's get the full story out and let there be due process that every person is entitled to. And then we'll get to some resolution of this for these juveniles. But for these adults, I think their actions are compounded in terms of their culpability because they are parents and yet they overlook the suffering of this mother for their own interest, and that's something that can't stand.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And once again, those are the comments of the attorneys representing the Noah Bush family. Once again, the two teenagers being held at a detention center in Claxton, Georgia. Sheriff's Department states that the investigation continues as they await the completion of the enhancement of the videos obtained during the process. They state if there's any incriminating information acquired from these videos, those implicated will be dealt with swiftly upon learning of their actions. They state as they've made clear the prosecution of juveniles is completely different from that of adults. They state in closing that this prosecution should be moved quickly and hopefully closure for Noah's family. In talking about the Bush family's attorneys, the attorneys believe that the adults of the juveniles should be charged as well as in concealing the death of Noah Bush. On Wednesday, the attorneys met with District Attorney Keith Higgins and Sheriff Chuck Mosley for hours at the Brunswick DA's office. And at that meeting, the attorneys of Noah Bush, along with Noah's mother, were shown videos and evidence obtained in the case. And again, shortly after that meeting in Brunswick, the charges against the two juveniles were made. And the two juveniles and their families at the detention center Wednesday afternoon in Courtroom C for a lengthy detention hearing. Again, the judge in that case was juvenile judge Jerry Caldwell. Some of the details from that hearing coming to light. One common theme is that they state there were a lot of tears shed in that courtroom on Wednesday afternoon. Also, one of the mothers of one of the juveniles arrested and charged with truancy as her child missed over 80 days during this past school year. That's over half the school year. Once again, the next step will be another court proceeding in which the juveniles will enter a plea of guilty or not guilty to the charges. It will proceed from there. Again, WIFO film will continue to follow the story as it develops. Again, if there are any more charges or arrests made, we'll bring them to you here on our local newscast. We'll be back with more news after this word from our sponsor of the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, this Tuesday afternoon, the Wayne County Board of Education will meet. The $64,000 question is, will they be able to reach an agreement and pass a fiscal year 25 budget? Currently, they do not have a budget, and they're working on a spending resolution during the month of July. At the last board meeting, when Chairman Bruce Harris asked for a motion on the budget, there was no motion. School system CFO R.J. Aldrich assured board members that the school system's in great financial shape. He says he foresees a $1 million surplus at the end of the fiscal year 24 budget, which ended at the end of the month of June. Former CFO Tony Williams has been hired as a consultant for the board. She was expected to be in meetings with the board members this week before this coming Tuesday board meeting. Several who spoke under public participation about the budget encouraged the board members not to pass a budget until they had those meetings with the former CFO. Also, during public participation, people asked why there is a need for a proposed $6 million increase in the budget. People questioned why the school system's fund balance dropped over $7 million in 1 year. Fund balance on July 1st, 2022 was $21,597,017.19, and on June 30th, 2023, it was at $14,248,834.16. Board member Todd Wise asked how the school system spent the $21 million in COVID money over a 3-year period, as that's how much money the school system received during the COVID years. Again, more questions and answers thus far, and with all that, no motion on the fiscal year proposed budget. School superintendent not at the last meeting. He was out of town, but he'll be back at Tuesday's meeting. Also Tuesday, the board will once again discuss where they're going as far as the ROTC facility and the ag facility, as they're back to square one after denying all submitted bids to the Board of Education on those proposed projects. And board members simply not happy with the cost submitted in the bids. And at Tuesday's meeting, the directors of the ag program and ROTC program are expected to be in attendance at the meeting. They were unable to attend the last meeting back in June. Once again, all this takes place Tuesday at the Tech Center. WIFO film will be on hand. Have a full report on Wednesday's newscast. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor of the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes of news, the county has a new EMS full-time director, as Patrick Parsons from Camden County has been hired as the Wayne County's EMS director. Again, his first full day will be August 1st. In a statement by County Administrator Paul Drawdy, he says, quote, We're very excited about the hiring of Patrick Parsons for Director of EMS. As part of the interview process, he asked and was allowed to meet with the employees of EMS and was very impressed with what he saw and heard. Patrick brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in the EMS field, along with administrative experience, having a degree in education and instruction certificates in fire and EMS, and the vision he articulated in the interview process checked all the boxes for what we're looking for in a director. And Paul Dredd says they're excited to see how Mr. Parsons will build on the legacy of the late Bobby Kickleiter and Richard Johnson. A couple of back-to-school events are planned. Again, the Wayne County Board of Tourism, once again, sponsoring their Touch a Truck event. It's going to take place on Saturday, August 10th in downtown Jesup from 9 to 1. Again, it's sponsored by the Wayne County Board of Tourism, the Jesup Downtown Development Authority, the Wayne County EMA, all on hand Saturday, August 10th from 9 to 1. The event features heavy equipment, emergency vehicles, tow trucks, bucket trucks, along with food and information booths where kids can see them up close. The event will be centered around West Walnut Street between North Macon and Northeast Broad Streets. These streets will be closed to vehicles. First hour of the event will be a quiet hour for sensory-sensitive children. During this time, no sirens will be used. Visitors are encouraged to shop local businesses in the downtown area for back-to-school supplies. For vendor and booth information, simply contact the Wayne County Board of Tourism office. That number 912-427-3233. For vehicle participation information, contact Donnie Ray at 912-424-0376. Once again, second annual Touch a Truck event set for Saturday, August 10th from 9 to 1 in downtown Jesup. Arthur Williams Middle School hosting a 6th grade jump start August 1st from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the school. This is for parents and guardians. Jumpstart serves as an opportunity for you and your upcoming 6th grader to learn about middle school. Focus during this time is to connect with you and ease the transition to middle school. Jumpstart engages upcoming students with fun activities like a school tour and fashion show. You'll get the opportunity to meet the staff and receive information on block schedules, buzz block and connections, sports, band, school routes, 6th grade expectations. Again, all that taking place August 1st from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at Arthur Williams Middle School. And that's going to do it for latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan saying have a great day.